Welcome back to the channel, my YouTube friends. Chapter 25 for Reincarnation Coliseum has dropped, and this is the end of Marl's tag team battle. To recap on things so you're not too confused, let me spin you a tale from last chapter. Mikigami goes forward with his plan of breaking Chris's concentration by cosplaying as characters she knows, such as Zaid and Alexandros. He succeeded, with the result being disgustingly good. I mean, Chris is literally a fucking cow in anime terms. I mean, the titties were out of control, and so was her emotions, which led to Mikigami getting the upper hand and finally detaining her. Alexandros decided he didn't need Chris to win this match, so Mikigami continued his assault by tickling her, which leads us into chapter 25 now. Picking up where the tickling left off, Momo, the announcer, is wondering why he's doing something so ridiculous. It was at that point that the crowd has a mixed reaction to his antics, with Mary and Zulu looking on in disbelief. That being said, Chris, on the other hand, can't contain herself, as it is revealed that Mikigami used a 7.5 skill buff to increase his hand movements. This made what he was doing seem even faster and is labeled high-speed tickling. This is the reason for the mixed reaction in the crowd, and Marl comments that it looks painful. In the next panel, however, Marl comments that it seems kind of nice in a way, while Mary finds it disgraceful, but also delightful. Zulu just sighs and things shift to Mikigami's thoughts, where he states that Chris can't use her skills unless she's concentrating really hard. To make sure that it doesn't happen, he needed a buff that could throw her off balance completely, which is the full force of his new technique. Noticing that she's somewhat still healing Alexandros, he decides to change positions. This startles Chris, and she starts getting nervous as Mikigami puts his leg in between her crotch and rubbing with fast movement. Momo, the announcer, is embarrassed as she comments that Mikigami's technique is generating a vibration all over Chris's body. This new move is also enhanced with a 7.5 skill buff and is called an electric massager, aka a vibrator. The crowd is back on the hype train, as some find it erotic and others thanking him for being such good scum. Chris pleads for it to stop, as Alexandros realizes that the new move is starting to stop the healing skill being cast on him. Marl continues her assault on him, and he still can't believe something like this would happen during the match. As he's pushed back, he tries to calm himself and believe he can still win. He starts to slowly counter Marl as he regains his composure. Blow for blow, hit for hit, the flow of movement has started to become more smooth instead of frantic as it once was. Marl notices this as well and realizes that he's back to being serious again. Amazing, says Marl as she starts grinning with happiness. Having this type of determination is what makes people like them the strongest. Interrupting a tender moment is Mikigami, who has Chris by the legs and swinging her around violently. The crowd is confused as he introduces another 7.5 skill buff called the Giant Swing. Alexandros and Marl look on, wondering what he's about to do as he's rapidly spinning Chris around to the point she's puking. He sees this as a way to make her pass out so she would be inactive going forward in the fight. At the right moment that Chris starts to rebuild her barrier around herself, Mikigami throws her in Alexandros' direction at a high speed, making her a human cannonball. Mikigami calls out to Marl to attack Alexandros, and with two things coming at him at once, he won't be able to dodge one of them. He decides to block Marl, but takes the hit from Chris's barrier, which knocks her out. Now that Alexandros is in a good position with broken ribs, both Marl and Mikigami charge toward him. In a flashback panel to Zulu's hideout, Marl is seen pouting about wanting to have a unified combo technique like Mikigami had with Mary. Mikigami tries to explain, but Marl finds it boring and wants them to come up with something. That is when he tries to think back to any of the manga he's consumed until an idea comes to him finally. Marl finds this new technique interesting as we are pushed back to the Coliseum, where herself and Mikigami pull off a double lariat, which brings Alexandros crashing face down. At first, the crowd looks on with worry, but then erupt in cheers as Marl praises Mikigami. The celebration ends fast as Alexandros rises to his feet, shaking, uncertain, but very much determined to keep going. He realizes that this Coliseum is not a battlefield, but a theater, as Desmos has stated before. What a mess, he claims, before finally surrendering the fight to Mikigami and Marl. This shocks the crowd, including Desmos and Momo-chan. Victory goes to Mikigami and Marl. As they both fall back to the ground, Marl tells Mikigami that she finally beat the strongest, and Mikigami credits her that it was a winning combination. This hits Marl in a deep way that brings us to her past in the next panels. As a child, she would do anything to win, even supposedly cheat, and she was scolded for it, but Marl just didn't like losing. In her puberty years, they told her it wasn't about winning or losing, but manners. She glosses over that lesson and wants to know how to win through these so-called manners. As a teen, they wanted her to behave and show respect for her training partners, but she ignored them. When she became an adult, her father wanted her to show more compassion for others, but Marl didn't want a lecture from him or anyone that was weaker than her. Afterwards, she leaves the dojo for multiple reasons. Marl states that she's happy now that she can dress how she wants, do what she wants, and fight for strength, acquiring all this freedom, as she calls it, before she finally met Mikigami. All this time, the darkness inside her slowly started to disappear. It was Mikigami acknowledging her that truly gave her the freedom she desired. As the panels go back, Marl dives toward Mikigami, kissing him in front of the audience and claiming her love for him. She tosses him in the air in celebration as the crowd erupts again and cheers. With newfound determination and unrivaled love, the chapter comes to an end. So that was chapter 25 for Reincarnation Coliseum. Interesting as it was, it kind of wrapped up not only the tag team battle, but also Marl's backstory altogether. And I love Marl. Marl is like my favorite character in this. She didn't want to take no shit from nobody that was weaker than her. That's pretty much how her backstory was building up. But at the same time, she had like this darkness within her that was just misery. It was just misery the entire time. And then, as you saw in the panels, as it grew, it slowly started to disappear until it was like just small or just dormant, I guess you could say, after finally meeting Mikigami and he acknowledged her strength. And that's really what it was. She wanted to be acknowledged by the people she cared about. That's really what it was. Her father didn't really give her that acknowledgement, just said, you know, this. Didn't even say she was strong, even though in the back of her head, she was like, I'm stronger than my dad. So with Mikigami giving it to her, it's like, you really are that. And it just blew her mind, and she's just in better spirits and everything like that. As far as Alexandros goes, he went out like a bitch. Like, I'm just being honest. He went out like a bitch. He surrendered the fight. But in his defense, you got to know when to give up when you can't like fight anymore. Because it was going to be a 2 against 1 type deal the entire time. And with Mikigami continuing to heal Marl, there's no way Alexandros was going to win. Like, he was already damaged as much. Of course, he had some broken ribs after that attack, or should I say giant swing by Mikigami and indirectly Chris. So there's that. But good chapter. Chris is about to be put to work with her cow titties and everything else. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting seeing the 3 nights with her. They're probably gonna like do her in bad. I don't know. I wonder if Suzu's gonna partake in that. That's gonna be interesting if Suzu partakes in that. We get to see Suzu a little bit more obedient. But hope you enjoyed it. Like any other, smash that like button, comment, let me know what you think about the chapter itself. Always support the official release when it comes out, buy the manga, or whenever, you know, we get the English translation from Yen Press and all that, when they decide to do it at some point. But should be good. Do what you do. Thanks for watching as always, and I'm off here. Holla at your boy.